Hello and welcome back to Tinker Talks Guns. Videos have been a little thin on the ground because of the holidays and because of some excrement occurring. So on the 19th of December, it was pretty icy and there was an accident and a Dodge broke my back fence. Things happen. But then yesterday, a fellow came to my door to tell me that his truck was out front. And I had no idea what he was talking about. I thought maybe there was a delivery of some kind. But he showed me. And this is what he showed me. Yes, that's my front yard. And yes, that's a 5-ton Safeway delivery truck in my front yard, nestled up cozily against a now broken tree. So, a number of plans were scuttled as a result of this. Everyone's okay, but wow. So, we're going to get a video that I hadn't planned on doing because I've been busy, strangely. And we're going to show you the final form of the ported 1911, since it's been refinished, gotten its proper grips, and all the other stuff. And we're going to give you the full rundown on this gun and what it took to get it to its present final form. Let's go to the tabletop and have a go. Okay, please forgive me for recovering some ground we've covered previously, but I don't expect everyone to have watched that video, so adjust that. There we go. So, its final form. Now, the thesis lower is largely stock with the stock ambidextrous safety and slide release. And it did have a cutout here to raise the back of the trigger guard. It was rather crudely done, which at the price point I couldn't really argue with. But I've smoothed it out and made it much nicer. I've also added 20 line per inch checkering to the trigger guard, so it really locks the offhand in when you're gripping it. Also, 20 line per inch checkering on the front strap. The magazine well housing, I blended into the frame, then removed and checkered and relieved it slightly at the bottom here. The high-rise custom grip safety, I added a speed bump to. And I did that by using JB Weld steel stick, which is an epoxy, and it gets extremely hard, adheres to steel, and is pretty easy to shape once it's fully set up and cured. So there's no way I'm going to fail to activate that grip safety. And it's quite comfortable. There's now a magwell housing, which is properly overlapped so that there is nowhere for the magazine to catch on the way in, and has been blended to the frame before being coated in SOCOM black gun coat. The grips, a friend of mine, Hill Norrie, makes his own micarta at home in his shop, and this is denim micarta made out of old blue jeans. And I made the grips, and they are fitted very closely to the frame, and they are fitted very precisely to the magwell housing, which is not only presents a nice appearance, but there's nothing to catch anywhere. And then using a 2mm carbide ball in the Fordham tool, which is like a Dremel, only good, I went ahead and stippled the hell out of the grips. So they provide a very good, secure grip without being in any way overly abrasive. So that's the and since the Clonimus, I'd never heard of them, but this is a quality unit and it works very well. It does have a projection that anchors it by going up around the grip screw bushing, so I had to relieve the inside of the grips to accommodate it. But since the Clonimus magwell housing worked out so well, I also bought a Clonimus trigger with an over travel set screw. And the trigger pull is between 2.5 and 2 3/4 pounds. And There's just the tiniest bit of take up. And then the trigger breaks. Very crisp, very clean, virtually no over travel. And the reset is super short and quick, very positive, both tactily and audibly. So I'm pretty happy with that trigger. Depending on how much more this turns into a match competition gun, I may go after the trigger a bit further, but right now it's extremely reliable and very, very pleasant to use. So I think that covers all the lower end stuff. So the higher end stuff, the top end. So one of the things this gun features is an Extreme Gunworks heavy one-piece guide rod with a flat coil recoil spring. And there's a little hole under here that I can probably not get on camera. And you insert this cutting tool, which I made by bending a piece of music wire and cutting it to length. And you insert this in the hole under the barrel so that when you release the slide, it captures the recoil system. And then you just line up your notches, pop this out, and from there it comes apart exactly like any other 1911. Just the recoil spring is captured, so you don't have to mess with it. And you can see the flat coils here. And I really like flat coil recoil systems because you get more coils in the space and there's more room for them. So basically, without the spring being any heavier, it slows the slide more effectively and keeps it from, hitting its stops as much, as it were. So that, again, less felt recoil and you get back on target faster. There is a bushing, of course, and of course this is a custom reverse recoil plug. So it actually inserts from the rear and that holds the bushing in place, which had to be modified for the larger diameter of the recoil plug. But that works out quite well. And of course, the bushing operates like a bushing, comes right out, and then you remove the barrel. And I did considerable work smoothing out the barrel and shaping it so that it would cycle extremely smoothly. And as you can see from the wear marks, there's more work to do there. Now, I did not interfere with the rifling except where the port is cut. So the bullet keeps a seal all the way past the port, allowing it to redirect a lot more of the gas upwards. And it's very effective. And of course, there is a matching hole cut in the bushing and the slide, and this big port is quite effective at getting the muzzle back on target rapidly, as you can see in the video. Now, the slide is a GI slide that a 1911 Boffin told me was provided partially finished, and I can attest to that because I had to do the finishing, so that it could be precisely fitted for Camp Perry match pistols built on conventional Army 1911s. And I flat topped it because I like that. And of course, cut the port, and I cut a dovetail, which I filed in my hand, for the XS sight systems, big dot front sight. And the rear is a old Safari Arms that used to be a tritium night sight, but the tritium went away probably a decade ago or more. And the two of these provide a sight picture that is very, very fast to acquire. And that's good for an action shooting competition pistol. Reassembly is exactly what you would expect. Put the barrel in, put the bushing in, get it lined up, insert the recoil plug, which can be a little fussy because it's very precisely fitted. Okay, that's finally back in place. Once you're to this stage, and you can see that it's engaged the bushing properly, when I center it correctly. You simply put a little pressure on the recoil system, pull out the cunning tool, and from there on, it just assembles like any other 1911, which I fully expect it to be a pain because I'm doing a video. Okay. Now, for magazines, I'm using Mechgar magazines. What? Not Wilson Combat? No, not Wilson Combat. They're fine magazines, they're very well made, and they work pretty well. But the Mechgar have a different follower design. And this little step right here that sticks out noticeably increases reliability because it helps the cartridge feed more straight directly into the chamber. And that improves reliability. It's a small thing, but it matters. And generally speaking, I have found these to be extremely high quality magazines, and this is an 8-round magazine. Another thing I like about them are the base plate, which is long enough that even with a mag well, you can seat the magazine very firmly, and it doesn't have a long, sticky outy magazine base plate. This one blends rather nicely with the look of the pistol, which it just looks better, and I like it. So, that is the ported barrel 1911 in its final form. There are arguably better choices for a modern action shooting match pistol than a 1911. The 2011 comes immediately to mind because, hey, more cartridges. But I like the 1911. I love the trigger. I love the ergonomics. And doing this as a 45 didn't cost extra money because I had parts on hand. And while I would certainly not feel poorly armed using this as a carry pistol, I do have better options. And so this is intended pretty strictly as a match pistol. And hopefully in the coming year, I'll be getting to some action shooting international matches and having some fun with this. And if I do, you'll see it here first. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, please click like, because it really helps the channel. Commenting also helps the channel. It's the only way YouTube knows I'm here and spreads the good word. And also, if you wish to support me in a more material fashion, there is a link to Patreon below. These videos and all the things I do cost money, and help with that is helpful. So if you want to kick a buck or two a month my way, the link is below in the description. Anyway, Happy New Year. I hope this finds you well. Stay safe, take care, and we'll talk to you again real soon.